All right. Let me actually let me just open us in prayer and we'll start. Father, we thank you for the evening that you've given us and for a warm place to be. Lord, I thank you for the way that you've blessed this church and the finances that you've blessed this church with. And God, I thank you for the opportunity to discuss that tonight. God, may our questions and answers be clear, and may we glorify you in all things. In Christ I pray. Amen. Before I get started, I have to do something here. This was a gift from the deacons back in October. I thought tonight was the appropriate night to wear it before I framed it and put it on my wall in my office. So I think I am going to frame it and put it on my wall in my office. When Shirley walks in, I'm just going to point to it. All right. I'm sure everybody got a copy of the proposed budget. If you didn't, there are more copies back here if you just want one to refer to tonight. And we'll just run down the line. I'll give you some specifics as we go, and broad categories as we go as well. Just starting off the top there with what we call the percentage missions. This is the money that comes off the top. Every dollar that comes in, this is money that comes off the top before it ever goes into general budget fund. So we have in the past years, it has been at the total of this category has been at 18.5%. That percentage did not change for this proposal. The allocation changed slightly. Cooperative program stays at 12%, maintaining our commitment to the cooperative program and everything that entails. And if anybody, I'm sure everybody that's here understands cooperative program. If anybody doesn't, we can get you some great information on that and where those dollars go once they leave here. Associational missions actually drops by 0.25% to 1.25%. We had in the past currently it's a category called miscellaneous missions that's 1.5%. Miscellaneous missions gets it's a very broad category, obviously. So we're dividing that into what we call mission projects. Those are probably going to be those things that we go and do or help fund somewhere else, and then community missions, which are those things that we do right here locally, Stone County, that kind of thing. So that category got divided into two, but it got increased. Rather than taking that 1.5% and dividing it in two, it's 1.25% for each of those. So is that making sense the way I'm saying that? Benevolence stays at 1%. That's where it was this past year. Evangelism and discipleship was at 1.25%. We dropped it back to 0.9%. And then added in Minnesota. You know, last year's budget in our percentage missions, we had the Reed Spring project. That property isn't ours anymore. It doesn't mean that we're not going to do something in Reed Spring, but it can fall under that community missions line. Our hope is that we can, we had this partnership that Pastor has led us in with Grace Connection up in Wadena, Minnesota. And so we want to be able to have some funds set aside for any trips that we may take up there. They're hoping to break ground on their building and do all that kind of thing. So anything that we're wanting to do, obviously we can pull that money from mission projects. But if we have something that's already set aside, earmarked for that, then that's good too. So any questions on the percentage missions? All right. On down in the administration category, you see all the different The different line items that, and this are not all the actual line items of the budget, but the different categories within under the administration heading there. Um, it doesn't really matter, but I transposed a couple of numbers there on the employee expenses where it says 646,146. It was supposed to be 164. I'm going to leave it at the 146 because that's what we put out, and $18 isn't going to change my spreadsheet a whole lot. So, but we'll leave it as it is printed here because that was what was sent out. There is no change in that other than me transposing those numbers. There's no change in that from the 2020 budget. Um, we have we had already budgeted for in the 2020 budget a worship pastor, not realizing that it was going to take the time that it took. So we budgeted for that. So we didn't have to rebuild it into the 21 budget. So any questions on that part of it? It's kind of a big chunk of the entire budget, so I want to pause there if anybody has any. Okay. Really, most everything else, the last four categories do stay the same. Office expenses goes up, I think, $3,200, $3,250. We have some, because office expenses is going to cover anytime we got to buy a new computer, any tech things. If y'all have been in our office, if you've worked in our office at all and helped out in there are some tech needs that we need within the office, and so there are things that we just need to do. Built a little bit extra in there for that. The good thing is we are, let's see, for the 2020 budget for our expenditures in 2020, we are projected about 10% below under that office expenses and all of that, not counting the employee expenses, but the rest of the administrative expenses. We're running about 10% below budget on that. So with that, plus budgeting for a little bit extra, that gives us some room to do some upgrades that we need. Plus, we're going to be saving some money on our copier leases are coming up. There are much better prices out there than what we've currently been paying, so we're going to save some money on that as well. So, any questions on that administration side of things? Y'all making it easy. All right. Fellowship side of things, what did I come up with? There's no change in that versus the existing 2020 budget. I mean, if you want the actual numbers, right now we're running 67% below budget on our expenditures. But when you can't get together, it's hard to spend a fellowship budget. We've had some expenditures out of hospitality for some various things, but overall, not a lot to talk about on that one. The properties side of things, you'll see this. Mr. John had the question that we have a line in there, building and grounds maintenance, and then another line, lawn maintenance. Those are separate because our lawn maintenance is actually a contract that we have a third party do that. We don't do that in-house. And so that covers that hiring someone to take care of that. The building and grounds maintenance is typically those things that we take care of in-house, whether it's through the properties committee, whether it's through Nathan and Robbie being able to handle things. Occasionally there are things that need to be hired out because it's just specialty stuff that we just don't handle ourselves. They would fall under that broader building and grounds category. But that's why we do have that separated out, is because we do have someone hired that does a good job with the lawn. Utilities Our utilities, we were running this year, we were running under budget. I added, I mean, hardly anything. I think it was like $250 is all that got added in this proposal. And it just trying to add some in there to cushion some things with, particularly on the cell phone contracts, new staff member coming on. That's part of the arrangement there. So, so there's a little bit more in that. The building and grounds maintenance category did go up. When you compare it to the 2020 budget, it went up, but it didn't go up. I combined two lines in that. We had one that was listed as maintenance special projects, and then building and grounds maintenance. Sometimes when Thelma's in there putting the invoices in, it's like, well, which one does this go in? Let's just put them in both, combine them. The total is the same on there. It was the special projects was 4,000, maintenance budget was 10,000. Combined them, 14. And our normal maintenance budget, we were running over this year. Some of that is there was equipment to buy, COVID-related stuff. Custodial supplies, I added a little bit to that because certain things we just got to buy more of now. Not to mention things go up in cost. Property insurance, I haven't seen an increase notice come from our agent yet. That's one of those weird things that doesn't change at the year. It changes like middle of our policy renews middle of April. So we won't realize any addition to that until we get to on into the first part of next year. But our agent is very good about notifying us if there are any changes, and he has not. So that is put a little more in there, anticipating that there will be a slight increase, because you all know how insurance works. It never goes down, or rarely goes down, I should say. So that's in there. Debt retirement, this is as we proposed last year for the 2020 budget. This amount covers the interest part of our note only. We take care of the principal of it through people donating specifically for debt retirement, through Rehoboth, through gym fees that come in for ministry center use. Any questions on that category? Yes, sir.
I don't see a line item for the vehicles.
Okay, the vehicles are billed. The use of vehicles is billed for when a ministry uses it.
Do we have plans of putting money aside to replace our school buses?
We do have money aside. Because, and thank you, Joe. When, let's say when Yah wants to use, wants to take a trip. Okay, a lot of times Yah will build it into their cost. Yah does it a little different. They build it into their cost. Let's use Shirley. She's an easy target. If Shirley is taking the kids to Splash Country in Branson, okay, and she wants to use one of the school buses, and I don't remember, the school buses are $1.25 a mile, I believe. So her ministry budget gets charged $1.25 a mile for the trip over and back. Okay, that money, that charge goes over into a designated account, so the money is set aside every time a ministry uses one of those, with the exception of when we go and pick kids up, when we go to the school and pick them up on Wednesday nights, we don't charge the ministries to go and bring people here. When they go out and do an activity, that's when their ministry budget gets charged. And so all of that money, as they use it, and this year, it's been slim because nobody's gone anywhere. But there is still a substantial amount of money that over years that has gotten set aside as trips have been taken different ministries have taken different trips. Those charges have been made, and that money is set aside. It doesn't reflect in the budget because those trips, it's money that comes out of the, like in the case that I talked about with Shirley going to Splash Country, that comes out of the children's budget line item. So it's not set aside as a transportation line item. Is that clear as mud for everybody?
James, you might refer folks that there's not designated funds here.
Yes, good, thank you.
We got that somewhere else.
Yeah, this is simply operating budget. It is not designated funds. You will see a summary report at the business meeting of what designated funds we have. I say a summary report. Y'all, we're a Baptist church. The list is a mile long. I mean, it's as long as your arm. But you will see a summary report. I'll show you the whole thing if you want to see it. Not a big deal, but the major ones is what gets put on there. So this is just general fund. It's not designated fund. The designated fund is cash money in the bank. This is numbers on a piece of paper that, yeah, there's money in the bank to back it up, but designated funds, it's hard currency there, so to speak. Clear on, sort of? Look, y'all, designated stuff still warps my brain sometimes. The transportation thing took me a long time to get my head around. But that's why it's not reflected as a transportation line item. But yes, cash does get set aside. That
Do we have enough to replace one if we need to now?
I believe so. If we had a yellow bus available, that's been the issue. I'm sorry. If we had enough if we needed to replace one of the school buses, one of the yellow buses, and yes, there is money there that we could do that, assuming the price would be about the same of what it was the last couple times we've bought. It's just the school hasn't had any. So, because we've asked. But
Now, we normally get them from Reed Spring.
yes, sir.
Do we ever check with Masters or any place like that to see what he's?
I don't know, honestly. I've let Bob or Gary handle that in the past, and we've always had a good relationship with Reed Spring. I mean, the school, they want them gone when it's time to replace them. They just want them gone. So price is really good on them usually. So other questions on that? All right. The ministries line item. All right, I ran some numbers on this today. It is a little embarrassing, but you got to remember 2020 has been 2020. I mean, all the way down the line. It's our expenditures in ministry, the percentage of budget is dramatically lower than what you would think it might be, but so much stuff that we didn't get to do, you know. There's a lot of money that Shirley spends like on VBS. That didn't come out, you know, things like that. So it was understandable. That's just what it is. So not a huge increase. Most everything stayed static there, except when you look down at pastoral ministries. If you are somebody who still keeps a copy of each year's budget, I'm sorry, I'll pray for you. But no, the 2020 budget versus this proposal for 21, the pastoral ministries, line item has a significant increase. As I'm sure you're aware, Paul taking over and doing pastoral care for us, going to hospitals and nursing homes to make visits when we're allowed to again. We wanted to make sure that we could cover his mileage. It is because of his status now, being retired or quasi-retired or just tired. We couldn't put that money in under the personnel category, so that money for his to cover his mileage has to come somewhere else. So we built it in under pastoral care, under the pastoral ministries there. So that's why, I've seen his mileage reports before. I know he drives, and so we wanted to make sure we built enough in there to cover that. So hopefully we did. Everything else really in that category has stayed pretty static. Other questions on? Y'all are easy. So, I'll share this at the business meeting also, but as you know, we did that payroll protection program back in April, late April, I believe, is when it started. Through all of the government hoops to jump through, and anyway, all that, long story, but it has been forgiven completely, totally. Didn't really have a concern that it wouldn't be. We exceeded all of the parameters that it would be for it to be forgiven. You just never know. Sometimes they change the rules midstream, but it has been forgiven. I've got the documentation in a folder in my office to stay there for 6 years. Payroll protection program. Back in, it covered us for, basically gave us a security blanket, safety net for 6 weeks back during April, May, June. So. Other questions? You got questions, Pastor?
No, I got comments.
Oh. Shocker. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
What is the family ministry?
Anything we do with our families, particularly our young families. We in past budgets it was listed on there as 50 below. That was Jim's tagline, and he's gone, so changed family ministry. But we used a lot of that, like when we go to Florida. The last couple of years on that retreat, that was some money that was budgeted for it. Obviously, not all of it, but some money that was budgeted for it. Any time if we are able to do fish fry with just something to do specifically with our younger families. Craig and Marisa and Randy and Abby LeBrier's life groups, that age group, that's what that line item is targeted at. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Where does Sleep and Heavenly Peace go now?
It's a designated account.
Okay.
So it does not, because it's something people give directly to, it does not reflect in the operational budget.
Are we still participating in that?
Yes. Last weekend they did a build. Yeah. Had a few folks up here last weekend. He had several that things are a little different in the way they operate because of just the way COVID is. But yes, we still are participating in that, and beds going out pretty often. So. All right. Get your comments.
I know there's a lot of questions about this year, this coming year. There's a lot more questions that we have answers. I was on a conference call today with the governor and other pastors across the state, and his advice to pastors, matter of fact, one of the questions was, how do we plan for the coming year? What's your advice? And he said his advice would be to plan like you plan for this year. In other words, there is no plan, was what he was getting at. We are going as a staff to approach this year as we have from April till now currently. We're going to address it just like we're still facing the COVID, which we are. We have a staff member now who has got considerably worse today. Chris just told me. And after lunch tomorrow, our office will be shut down until first of the year. So keep them in your prayers. It's not time to let our guard down. Things are getting somewhat better. Missouri is actually doing tremendous compared to other states. They really, really are. As far as the economy and as far as other things, we're doing really good. But there's still the COVID monster out there. They told us today that they were going to allow ministers to be in the first group to receive the vaccine that wanted to. And we talked more about that. But I just want you to know there's a lot of things we wanted to do this coming year, staff-wise, that we just can't, it's not fair to do it. You know, you can't bring somebody on and then in March say, oh, we've got a second, third wave of this and, you know, we're bottomed out. So we're going to do the best we can. You hate to say the best you can with what you got, but that's pretty much where we are, you know, in doing these things. Budget-wise, you guys have been great. We need to continue. It's tough. It's really tough. We are not going to do Awana this spring just because of the situation. A lot of things like that it's going to be tough to pull off. If we can pull them off at all, I think Shirley's having pretty good luck with Blast over there now. But there is a fear that the Christmas holidays could trigger another flare. And that's understandable. But I just wanted you to know, I just want to say thank you, first of all, for your faithfulness and your giving, and to let you know that this is not an easy time to administrate at all. I mean, it feels like we get kicked in the teeth every time we turn around and get something planned. And I know Christmas Eve, we're having to regroup quickly. Chris is doing an excellent job helping fill in some gaps of what we need. This Sunday, our youth praise band will be leading the service. The choir will not be singing. I know they practice, but the individual last night was with choir who tested positive today, so that pretty well, wiped it out there. So there's a lot of things. We don't want to be scared. We want to be prudent. We want to be smart. God gave us a brain. God will take care of us, but He may take care of us with our own common sense, okay? You got to realize that He's not going to do what He's equipped us to do. Bottom line and everything. So I just want to say thank you and let you know that we're still trying as best we can and help pass the word on. I'm so glad we have the ability to do online stuff. Pat's Sunday School, I enjoy. He don't realize it, but on Monday I watch Pat's Sunday School lesson. Life group lesson. Yeah, I do. Well, Monday's kind of a down day, so. But I do, and I thank God that we're at a place where we can do that. We're going to try something different in January with our devotions. Instead of a different speaker every day, we're going to do a speaker for a week, and they can take a topic and expound on it all week instead of just hit and miss. So you'll know that. Some of you will be asked to do that, and I think we've got the first 2 months lined out, but Chris is going to show us how to record. Bless his heart. And we'll do the best we can. Any questions that you might have tonight? Yes, Joe.
Pat and Linda's house stuff?
Pat and Linda had someone look at no. They had someone that was supposed to look at their house yesterday. Financing is a problem there's not a lot of resources in that area, so keep them in your prayers. I know they were kind of down last night. I think Kim has talked to Linda a couple times, but just keep them in your prayers.
Does that change them coming or anything?
No, they're going to come. They may stay with you, but they're coming. All right.
We got room.
No, he's going to be here the first Sunday in January. But
Today that she's just about finished packing
Yeah.
everything.
what we may end up doing is the way I understand that the realtor has suggested they leave some items in the house staged to show. If they do that, we'll probably move everything into a storage building till they can get everything settled, whatever they want to do. It's a tough time for them. Not a lot we can do, but I've told him we stand ready. Just let us know what he needs us to do. Good question.
We're just around the corner.
I know it. I told him that. Other questions? Yes, Kathy.
When did you say the office was open and then closing?
We're going to open till lunch tomorrow, and then we're going to close. We're going to fumigate. We're going to, do the whole deal again to get ready, really, for Sunday life groups. Is what we're doing, and then we'll just close it for the rest of the time as we usually do. We'll open up the first of the new year. Yeah.
So, and what about, and I'm sorry if you said this, life groups?
Yes.
This coming Sunday we'll have?
We will have life groups this Sunday. Yes.
And after that, are there? Yes.
We'll probably have them even the Sunday, because Christmas falls on
Friday.
the 16th. We're going to Merry Christmas. We'll probably, just to keep some continuity, just continue life groups as is. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
What about Christmas Eve?
We're going for it. I would encourage you to mask and to distance, because we have a lot of new folks that come in on that service, as you well know. We toss back, what do we go ahead with it? Do we not? And that is one of our biggest outreaches, really, of the year. People come, for that Christmas Eve service, and then we don't see them again to Easter. But Christmas Eve, they're here. And James said, you got to have Christmas Eve. So we will. It won't be as we planned. It will be fluid. Okay? Yes, we are going to do the Lord's Supper. We are offering, in case you got an email, if there's someone that wants it that can't get out to it, we will take them to them, and they can be a part through the internet or something that night.
Is the concern about Christmas Eve because of COVID, and how does that differ from us meeting here on Sundays?
Well, us meeting on Sundays, just usins mostly. But on Christmas Eve, we have families from all over the country.
The influx of people.
Yes,
that we don't
yes,
have
yes.
what areas are hot, they may be coming.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know, and they don't know. It's not their fault. They don't know. But, it's just an opportunity for a mixing. Yeah. We've had guests come in the last few weeks, and we're glad of that, and we appreciate it. But it's kind of a different scenario in that.
Along the COVID lines, I heard a report on the local news tonight, they're going to be having available, and I don't know when, you can go to Walgreens, not yet though, and get a test to take home and test yourself.
Yes, you can. But it's only 80%
Well, see, I was
reliable.
96 and 100, that's what they said.
Well, that's just what the medical guru of the state told us today, that there's still some bugs in that. The vaccine from Pfizer is 2 shots, and they say it is about 96% effective. Side effects are those that you would generally get with the flu shot, sore muscles and that kind of stuff. I am going to take it. My wife's a little hesitant about me taking it.
We don't know for sure yet.
I am going to take it, and here's why. Because I don't care what political persuasion you are, okay? You know, what it is. I was impressed today when the governor said it's time that ministers are able to minister to those who are sick in the hospitals. That rung a bell with me. And that's why he's moving ministers to the 1B group. There's a 1A, there's a 1B, there's 2, there's a 2B, and then there's 3. So he has moved us into the essential category. So that impressed me, you know. Do I know the vaccine is good? No. But I know the virus is not good either. So anyway, yeah, we're going to talk, yeah. Talk about that later, right? Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right, any other thing? We do the best we can. Just stay fluid. Oh, I cut myself off. You just died. Yeah, I cut myself off. All right, let me pray. Father, thank you again for loving us, taking care of us. Lord, it's kind of good, Lord, that we do have to depend on you. That we can't make it through this on our own. That we need your guidance. And Father, if this is what it takes, so be it. May we enter the year 2021 with great expectations. In Jesus we pray. Amen.